Episode 78, the Podfest 2017 show. Well, I just got back from Podfest Multimedia Expo 2017 in Orlando, Florida. Today, I'm going to share my takeaways from the event and some tips for you for your next conference or event. And you are listening to episode number 78 of Mike Murphy Unplugged. Learn, create, move forward. I am your host, Mike Murphy. I'm a one-man band. I'm a technology junkie. I love helping people figure things out, and I am really excited to be here with you today. The goal of Mike Murphy Unplugged is to help you learn what you need to know in order to create online content so you can move forward in business and in life. So episode 78 today is going to be a little bit more on the freeform side, as I just wanted to share my experience of the Podfest Multimedia Expo 2017 held at the Caribe Royale Resort in Orlando, Florida from February 22nd to February 25th. I'm going to start today with a quick explanation of what Podfest is, who it is for, so you can make plans for next year if it sounds like a good fit. Then I'm going to share what I learned and experienced as an attendee and a second-year alumni, and I'll conclude today's episode with some tips and strategies to help you prepare for your next event or conference. Okay, so let's go. What is Podfest Multimedia Expo? Podfest, or PME, is an educational and training conference for independent podcasters. It was created by Chris and Katie Krimitsos. Independent, as in you're not going to see NPR or all of the big-name podcast networks dominating the event. Podfest is really for the one-man bands and the entrepreneurs and small businesses who want to make a dent in the universe, just like you and me. The PME event. It's 3 years old. It originated in the city of Tampa, but Chris and Katie decided to move it to Orlando in 2017 and in the future to attract a larger, more international audience to make it easier for people to get to. The event is primarily intended for new podcasters or for those thinking about launching a podcast, but there is plenty of classes and learning opportunities for seasoned veterans, and adding multimedia to the title, it kind of opens the door for them to include more topics such as YouTube, social media, live streaming, and blogging, as it relates to podcasting, I'm sure. My theory is that they are going to keep their options open as the technology changes, and they might fill the void of the once popular, but now defunct, New Media Expo, or NMX, which covered a wide range of content creation. But for now, Podfest is all about serving the podcast community. So the event, Podfest Multimedia Expo 2017, was 3 full days long. I got the early bird pricing at $249, I think, and a discounted rate at the Caribe Royale Hotel in Orlando, which was very big and nice, and it was approximately $180 a night. So the whole event cost me somewhere around $1,000 when all is said and done. So there is definitely an investment, but it was worth every penny. Now in 2016, the event had about 100 or 150 attendees, if memory serves me, and in 2017, I heard that number was up around 500 or so. So PME is growing very quickly, and the energy and the buzz online was really strong for several months leading up to the event. I expect next year to be even better. Okay, let's talk about the schedule. What did the days look like? Well, one of the most impressive things about Podfest, and I noticed this right away last year, is how organized it is. Every speech, every workshop starts and ends on time. This year, there was a really handy iPhone app that made it super easy to follow the schedule. You knew exactly what room to go to. And just having this efficiency in place, it makes it so much easier to get more out of the event. The Podfest team runs a really tight ship, and there's always somebody right there to help you if you ever have any questions. Chris Krimitsos is definitely a pro at running events. It is very clear that he takes it seriously, and it's why Podfest will continue to grow and attract the best speakers and leaders and vendors in the podcast community. When you pay good money to attend a conference, you want to get as much out of it as possible, and Podfest does everything to make that possible and to make it as valuable and a learning experience for all. Kudos to them. So why did I go? Well, in 2016, I went more as a student of podcasting with a beginner mindset. I wanted to learn more about audio production and how to grow and make my podcast better. I also wanted to get my face and brand out there and just connect with fellow podcasters. In 2017, I went with much more focus on my business, Mike Murphy LLC, and less to learn about podcasting. But you know me, I am always in learning mode, so I knew I was going to pick up plenty of knowledge. And I did. But my attention was definitely to network and to be inspired by those who are running successful businesses already. And I knew also that I was going to have a good time being surrounded by podcasters and other content creators. I welcome this sort of working vacation of sorts. And for those of you on a similar path or journey as me, trying to start an online business or working for yourself, events like these are a goldmine of inspiration and ideas. I'm going to be the first to admit, and I've done it many times, that I struggle with the business side of things, i.e., charging others for my knowledge and expertise. It's hard for me. You might be stuck in the technology or the business or both, but guess what? You're not alone. It's hard for everybody. But you have to keep chipping at the puzzle. You have to be patient, and you have to go out of your way to make it happen. Events like podcasts or wherever your industry hangs out, they're a huge help, not only to your confidence and knowledge, but it might only take one conversation or a comment or a little piece of advice to make it all click, or at least just get a little bit clearer. And until that happens, I'm telling you, just keep creating. Keep doing what you do. It's going to happen. Look back at 2016. And if I listen to episode 27 on Podfest 2016, I was less confident. I was less knowledgeable. I was not as good of a teacher. I'm not as good at audio and video and all the things that I do. It does take time. You have to keep working at it, though. You have to do whatever you can to push yourself. Meet others who can help you get to the next stage. That is why I attended Podfest 2017 and why I will be at Podcast Movement at the end of the summer. So what were my takeaways from Podfest 2017? There were a lot of them. My biggest takeaway, I'd say, was knowing the importance of attending events, networking, and meeting people face to face. I recognize a ton of faces and names from Facebook and Instagram and iTunes. Some were sort of well known, but nothing compares to an in-person conversation. As much as I struggle with the schmoozing and the casual conversation, my biggest takeaway was just realizing the power of putting a whole bunch of like-minded people in the same hotel for 3 days straight. Now, I probably didn't learn too much about podcasting or gear or content creation this year, but the real education for me came from the exhibition floor, walking around, and the after-hours meet and greets. I left this conference highly motivated to start making products to sell, with some really good insights and advice and realization that I am much further along than I give myself credit for. I already kind of knew that, but this conference really confirmed it. It kind of kicked me in the butt, if you will. A big tip: listen and observe more than you talk at events. I did a lot of talking because I get nervous or passionate about podcasting and the business I'm trying to build, but I learned the most when I just listened in on conversations or asked someone about their business, and it helped me see what is working for others and what things I might apply for my own business. If you can turn the tables and make it less about you and more about you being genuinely interested in the person that you're talking to, they're going to be more likely to stay engaged with you and help you if they can. Remember, conferences may only last 2 to 3 days, but the impression you make lasts a lifetime. And don't forget about the vendors. They represent brands that market to the podcast community, so making a connection or a good impression may lead to a sponsorship or a product demo or an introduction to one of their partnerships. You never know. Which leads me to my next takeaway or tip or words of encouragement for you. You never know who is listening to your podcast or reading your blog or Medium articles or watching your videos. I have said this many times and I've heard it many times, but I assure you it is true. On the first day of the conference, somebody went out of their way to come up to me to tell me how much they enjoyed my podcast and how much it has helped them. I did not know this person. And then several people came up to me to tell me how much they enjoyed my short little video tutorials on Instagram and how the tips were actually helping them learn things. It made me realize just how oblivious I am to, how my stuff might impact others. I have no idea most of the time if people like what I make. So when I hear stuff like this, I am blown away. And quite honestly, I'm a little bit surprised. All that goes through my mind, though, is my favorite reminder quote from Derek Sivers. What's obvious to you is amazing to others. Now, the kind words, they've made me feel good, there's no question. But the real value, hearing from a listener or somebody who's actually getting value from my content that I'm working hard to make, is to realize that even though you might not get a lot of engagement or you might not get emails or feedback on your episodes, there are people tuning in, and you need to show up and deliver the best content you can, as you really never know who is listening. I listen to tons of podcasts. Some I really like, and I've never emailed to tell them. Maybe I should, but it's going to happen to you too. So just keep making things. You are making an impact. All right, let's shift gears here for some practical tips and advice for your next event or conference. Pre-event. Now, events are nothing more than networking or marketing opportunity for you, your podcast, your brand. The marketing starts before you arrive at the event. For months leading up to the conference, be active in the Facebook pages of the event. Be helpful or kind in the groups so that others will want to meet you in person at the event. If there are speakers or influencers on the event page, start to make casual connections on social. Find out the topics that they specialize in so you have something to engage them in a meaningful conversation. Subtle goes a long way. Understand why you are going. Set yourself up for success. Read up on the event. Do your homework well ahead of time. Know about the hotel, everything. You need to be laser focused when you arrive at the event. What do you need to learn the most? Who do you think will help you the most? What will you say to someone you want to connect with? Is there a common ground to break the ice? Events can be fun, but to get the most out of them, it is really hard work. So plan on early mornings, long days. You paid $1,000 or maybe more. Maybe you paid it for a babysitter, an airfare, took time off from work, etc. Plan on full days. Give it your all. During the event, pack a warm jacket or sweatshirt because conference rooms are freezing. Consider bringing your own snacks like nuts and fruits just to keep you going and you don't have to spend as much money at the hotel. Drink plenty of water because you're going to lose your voice. Maybe bring chapstick if that works for you, or emergency for cold stuff. Basically, have an event survival kit and you're going to have a better conference. Have a charger and external battery definitely for your iPhone, and bring tons of business cards. After the event, follow up with anyone that you said you would contact or send information they needed. Maybe you said you would answer a question for them. Follow up. It's going to make an impression. Also send thank yous or via email or social if somebody really helped you. You're going to come back from the conference with a stack of business cards. Input them all into your Google Contacts or CRM with any notes that you can remember. Do this within a week, or if you're like me, you're definitely going to forget. I like to put Podfest 2017 in the notes section of my Google Contacts, just so I can search and find out who is there. Just like you never know who is listening to your podcast, you never know if a connection that you made at an event will turn into a business relationship or something else down the road. And I have a side tip resource. I'll leave the links in the show notes. I spent a few minutes with Michael O'Neill from the Solopreneur Hour, and he had just come out with a 3-part video series called Conference-topia. It was about 10-minute videos, and there was actually some really good, helpful tips. So I'll leave that in the show notes. There's a before, during, after, what to do at events. Some of the information was really good, so check that out. All right, wrap-up time. Podfest Multimedia Expo. It's an annual event run by Chris and Katie Krimitsos for independent podcasters looking to learn how to podcast or to take their podcast to the next level. Podfest is special. It has more of a family and community feel to it than any other event that I've ever been to, and the quality of speakers and classes are top-notch, and they work really hard to get feedback to make it the best it can be. I highly recommend it, and I look forward to seeing you in Orlando in 2018. But if you can't wait until 2018, the next event that I will be at, and I hope that you will be too, is Podcast Movement. This is in Anaheim, California, at the end of August 2017, and apparently podcast festivals love Disney. Podcast Movement is the big daddy of podcasting events, the big brother to Podfest. It attracts all the big name stars in podcasting, all of the major podcast networks like NPR, Gimlet, Podcast One. I am really looking forward to this one as well. It's going to be totally different. I don't expect it to have nearly the same intimate feel as Podfest, but I'm going to use the same common sense tactics. I'm going to go into the event with intention and focus, the name of the game. Okay, so in conclusion, and like I said, today was going to be a little more freeform in nature than normal, but I just really wanted to share my experience of Podfest with you. As I build this online business, I really think that events and conferences are game changers, and they're important to my success and to your success. They're challenging for me, but that face-to-face connections is a big deal. And if you go into each event with a purpose and a plan, you can do way more in 3 days than an entire year of bopping around Facebook and social media. People ask for my feedback or advice all the time online. And guess what? The next time someone asks me for a good podcast editor, my first thought is going to be somebody that I met face-to-face at podcast that I think would do a good job for them. And hopefully someone will think of me when they are asked for a referral the next time. So keep that in mind for your next conference. I hope you picked up some things from today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this podcast, and for that, I thank you. If you have not already done so, please go to mikemurphy.co/newsletter. Sign up for the mailing list. Every Friday morning, you'll get a really cool newsletter full of useless trivia. It's pretty good. I thank you for joining me today. I hope you join my one-man band, and together we can learn, create, and move forward. Cheers.